Thank you all for coming, and what a lovely morning and weekend. As I said to a few people earlier, I walked out of my front door this morning to head down to the campus, and I thought, gosh, look at that leaf. That's a sensational leaf, and it's the little things in life that matter that sometimes we walk past real quickly when we're on our daily routines. And I thought, you know, when we're talking about engaging people and finding areas of common interest, big ideas matter and big concepts matter, but also little things matter too. So I thought the leaf and its color and its perfect shape on a perfect morning was something that can remind us of that. I want to have everyone introduce themselves so that we all know who we are. Many familiar faces to me and others around the table, but some of us may not know each other. So let me start with myself, and then we can maybe go left. Is that all right? I'm Steve Gilmore. I am an alum of the university, but not the School of Social Service Administration of the business school from the night program in '98. It took me almost 5 years to get through the business school. I kept at it and chipped away. It was a rigorous, hard, horrifying experience at times, but gratifying, and I have very fond memories of it. And I love the university very much, and I'm really happy to have come back to help lead the development and alumni program about 4 years ago.
I'm Hazel Vespa, and I'm alum from SSA from '68, the infamous period to be on campus. And I got involved very young as a graduate with SSA alumni activities, and after that got invited to go on the governor's board and then worked with a group to get the clubs going in Chicago over the years, and that's how I know. And most recently, I got invited to work with the Chicago Women's Alliance programming, and during Centennial, we did a program together. So that's a little bit of my volunteer work with alumni program.
Hi, I'm Jacob Dancer. I am an alumni of the college from 1989 in psychology, and I'm an alum of SSA 2004, clinical social work. My volunteerism is... It's kind of in the slides, so I don't want to go over too much. But I'll say that my dedication to volunteering is all about my profession as a social worker and as a person who believes that change is not just through your client, but it's through working with your coworkers and finding people who share your belief systems and bringing them in and partnering with them. More about me later.
I'm Tricia Malloy. I'm a graduate of the college, class of 05, and SSA class of 09. So I'm kind of just getting started with my volunteerism. I'm currently a member of SSA's board, and I hope to continue both with the college and SSA.
My name is Valerie McDaniels, class of 97. SSA, it was a wonderful experience. It was the years there. I think I share opportunity of my director of Department of Truth and Family Services as a board director of Megan, and I also worked with Terry here, who brought me on here to the stuff here. When I first graduated, I remember attending some events, not as much as the alumni getting involved in things, so it's really been interesting and kind of excited. Her and I graduated from the same undergraduate school, so I went to a couple classes this morning, and what they're doing here, we're doing in the undergraduate for undergraduate alumni group. So it's just awesome to see that we're working together, helping all students, so of all kinds.
Good morning. I'm Terry Travis Davis, and I am a graduate of SSA 1999, and I'm a member of the alumni board and chair of one of our committees, and I'm just happy to be able to give back to students and to the faculty and to the professionals as well.
Good morning, I'm Sarah Manowith, SSA class of 97, and I'm recently back at SSA as the Associate Director for Special Gifts.
Hi, I'm Wileen Motley, also a recent grad of SSA 09. Previously worked in the Civic Engagement Department here at the university, and I'm currently the Associate Director of alumni affairs and the SSA fund at SSA. Happy to be here.
My name is Laura Rose. I work in the university's regional offices based in New York City. I work with alums from all schools and divisions, and I'd love to know more about SSA so I can help serve Stephen. My name is Stephanie Endy. I'm a graduate of the Finance Division. I have nothing to do with SSA. I'm an interloper from the University Board of Government. So just happy to learn about what you're doing.
Glad to have you here, Stephanie. We'll proselytize and convert you.
I'm Alex Quintero. I'm an alumnus of the college, 2007, and I'm also on staff with the Alumni Association focusing on engagement with folks in the West.
I'm Tom Bird from the college, class of 72, so I was a troublemaker with you, Hazel. And I'm active now with the UChicago Public Interest Program. Steve's helped us a lot with that. And it's kind of a natural fit with SSA in a lot of ways. We find one-year fellowships for college graduates in Chicago public interest kind of programs. And the thing that's nice about it, in terms of SSA and the things that we're doing, it's kind of a natural fit. If you guys have a wonderful network, we would love to talk to them about public interest program. Also, we could provide wonderful volunteer opportunities that would engage them and connect them up. And it promotes the pan-university idea. Really, SSA and the college and everybody, the pan-university is a real big thing that we would like to promote too with this program. So any cooperation we do, we love it.
I'm Nicole Rissick, class of 2004 from SSA. I have either been attending or been a volunteer at SSA events since I graduated, and I'm currently vice president of the Alumni Board and co-chair of the nomination committee.
Great. So thanks all. It's a great group to have a conversation about relationships and the intersection of relationships and how those can be developed. And how our circles of friends can enlarge and intersect. Does everyone have the handout? Okay, and so I apologize for it being so small. I thought we were going to have a projector, but we can make it through step by step. And I want to actually have a conversation and not for it to be so didactic with me presenting and you guys just listening. And then we'll hear from Jacob. And I've asked Jacob to sort of reprise the story of his engagement with the university and with SSA through the Alumni Board and a number of subcommittees of the Alumni Board. One change in the order of slides that you'll see in your handout before I kind of plunge in real quickly is on page 3. You'll see a slide at the top that has a pyramid on it. Is that right? Oh no. Okay, so that appears. It appears in my handout on page 3. It's on page 5, but I'll talk to it after the mission slide, which you'll see on your page 2. Okay. Okay, so that's just the change, just so that we don't get out of order. So we all have spheres of relationships that intersect with our lives in lots of different ways. Certainly, our relationships that we have with fellow alumni is a logical starting point for us when we think about becoming connected and engaged as you are with the university and trying to encourage other volunteerism on behalf of SSA and the university more broadly. There's a guy who's sort of made a career out of talking about leveraging relationships powerfully in the area of business, commerce, and personal interests. Bob Dillenschneider is his name, and he's written a number of books, but most recently he's written a book entitled Power and Influence, The Rules Have Changed. And he has spent most of his career heading Hill & Knowlton and now his own private PR firm. He spent most of his career illustrating for business people as well as nonprofit executives the way to think about their relationships and intersecting those relationships with what their professional agenda is and what their private priorities are. And this quote, "We're all pilgrims on the same journey, but some pilgrims have better roadmaps," comes from his writings and conclusions that premeditatively it's important for us to think about, who do we know and how do we know them and how we might be able to thread them for causes and issues and projects with which we're familiar. And we've all seen diagrams of concentric circles, but it really, when we think about our relationships and how we might be able to use the influence that we have over individuals to encourage them to learn more and to think about becoming engaged in causes that we're passionate about. It's important to sort of develop lists and start drawing circles and do an inventory of who we know and how we know these folks and how we might be able to orchestrate and tee up our outreach. Mapping relationships really involves some amount of thought and pause. And I think we've all heard about the Kevin Bacon game and 6 degrees of separation, right? I mean, how many degrees of separation are we from people who are more well-known maybe than we all are around the table? And it really is sort of interesting when you start thinking about, gosh, I know Hazel, and Hazel knows Agnes Roach, who I just met upstairs in one of the other classrooms, and Agnes just founded the University of Chicago Women's Business Group and the Chicago Women's Alliance.
And she was a roommate in Northwestern with a social work friend of mine that I never knew until I went to the Chicago Women's Alliance.
Right, and the Chicago Women's Alliance, and Agnes started the Chicago Women's Business Group, and the Chicago Women's Alliance sponsored an SSA Centennial Symposium at a law firm downtown a year and a half ago, and other people came to that, and they got to meet Jean Marsh, and Terry attended. And so as we begin mapping relationships, as we begin talking to people and learning about them and asking the right kinds of questions, we can see how these relationships map. And it holds true in our own family situations. It holds true in our spheres of work. It holds true in a variety of settings, in faith communities, in community involvements, and in the many aspects of our lives. To be premeditative about it, I think, is to be strategic, and that gets to Dylan Schneider's point of, we're on a journey here in our lives as we unfold, but if we have a map and we think about the charge of recruiting more volunteers, recruiting benefactors to a particular fundraising cause, if we have a premeditative plan and map, we're likely to be more successful. We're likely to realize more conversations of meeting that can lead to involvements. As we talk to people, we often find that timing is very important when we talk to people about engaging in a cause that we feel they may be passionate about. How the concept of their engagement fits into their lives is an important thing to understand. And the slide entitled "Identifying Tipping Points" is intended to address the timing issue. And these are just some examples of opportunities for engaging people when their lives have events occur. I think as we conduct our outreach in a premeditative way, and a little bit later in the discussion, I want to talk about what kinds of questions we ask folks as we have conversation about engaging them as volunteers and benefactors. We should be attuned to listening to tipping points and understanding those timing issues. Yes, Terry.
Under these tipping points, when you know that people are having these events in their lives, you wouldn't talk to them about volunteering at these stages, would you?
You might. You might. So if somebody has a job promotion, there might be an opportunity. A promotion can mean a couple of things. It can mean more responsibility, but it can also mean more visibility, more capability to have a higher degree of influence, to influence others. It can also mean that they might have a little bit more control over their discretionary time, right? So often senior executives have more control over what they choose to do with their discretionary time as junior executives. So these are intended just to be examples that we hear often when we talk to people about becoming involved, that inform our follow-up and inform our dialogue with that individual. Give us clues as to when the time might be best. I should also say that the conversations that we have with people as we develop relationships with them are not sort of one-offs, or really shouldn't be viewed as one-offs. Because the fruitful, more deep, meaningful conversations really are those that sustain in the long term. You have a common set of beliefs with an individual. You have some commonality in your background. They're also an alum, or they're a practitioner in a human service field. So there's some logic to your continuing to have dialogue and meet with and interact with a particular individual. And so maybe this year is not the right time for somebody to become connected, but maybe next year will be, or the year after. It's sort of a continuum of contact that we think we want to focus on, right? And
is anybody surprised to see some of these things, like illness or death in the family, that make you think, oh, how strange, like, what do you mean?
Well,
illness?
like a new baby.
Like, what are the Should we talk about something?
yeah, let's talk. Yeah, let's talk about it.
One of the first things that I did after I had, my husband did after I had our child, baby was about 3 weeks old, said, we have to go to the attorney and write our will. We have to. And I'm like, honey, can it wait? Like, I haven't had 2 hours of sleep together in weeks. But it couldn't wait because when you have a baby, you want to make sure that that child will be taken care of. You probably should right after you're in the attorney's office making a will. And you think about all kinds of like scenarios of what happens if one dies in both, and you think about who your beneficiaries are, and those can also be charitable beneficiaries.
Absolutely. You can celebrate the arrival of a baby by doing a variety of things to celebrate. You can also connect with others who may share some other, if you're a new parent or a new grandparent, maybe there are others within your other spheres, your other alumni spheres, your other faith community spheres, your other volunteers who now can share the joy because they have their own stories to tell. So you have another facet to your own personal story to share that they may also share, and so your relationship becomes another level deeper, right?
I can think of a very interesting example that just meeting Tom last time, thinking through your comments. I had a marvelous graduate student from London about 3 years ago, and her parents were so thrilled when she got through school. They came from London and invited the 2 people involved in her field instruction to a little graduation dinner. I met her mother. Her mother was doing incredible fundraising in London, and then she no more than got back, and her mother died, got a recurrence of breast cancer. She came back to visit. I was the only person she even connected with the first time. Then her father came back with her, and I met her father this year, and now I'm thinking, gee, maybe you could get some cash scholarships, because she's worked long enough and is working in social work within the system in London, but her father has all this interesting background in the public sector. So I wouldn't have even thought of this if you hadn't made this list and get me thinking about just graduate students I've had from SSA who are, you know, from very many different places. So I do think, and she's very connected yet with the United States, so, you know, it comes back.
Another general point about these are all significant things in somebody's life.
Yeah.
A lot of times if it's significant time, it's important to be reminded of the basic important values that you have. You know, and
Right.
It's
a
a
good
time
point,
to start
Tom.
thinking about, you know, the SSA commitment that you know, in terms of the social engagement and stuff. And you kind of makes you take a step back at these times. So the message helps.
And I was just going to add the job loss to retirement. Retirement is generally a happy time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also going to be a depressing time.
Right.
You used to get up going every day to work.
Right.
The job loss is very much a well-being aspect you have to look for. And even though someone may not be able to give because of those two reasons, get them involved.
Absolutely.
Keep their mind focused, you know, and then maybe they may be your best person who does all the best selling, or getting the money in, or just renewing their
Connection. Valerie, that's a perfect example of how your outreach is a gift to them. Right? I mean, we shouldn't be only thinking that, you know, our outreach is motivated by trying to encourage them to. Our outreach can be a gift to them, and plugging them into a support network or a circle, and you know that again it deepens the relationships and makes it really authentic and real. That's a very good point.
I think it's a similar instance of death. Sometimes someone has been a caregiver, and then someone passes away, and then there's just not a lot more time than there used to be. That's a great opportunity and a great gift to get them engaged and tap into some of the things that are happening here. Even in illness, if you are the caregivers might need a little, you know, couple of hours away to do something that maybe is fun or mindless or meaningful or whatever it is, but that's just taking them away. So they're all good opportunities.
Great examples and great stories, and I think as we purposefully reach out, especially particularly for SSA, but also for the university, understanding the compelling components of the mission, and understanding how those mission components manifest in the real world is important to keep in mind. You know, we've all heard of the hierarchy of needs, and I think all of us are motivated to make a difference larger than ourselves in life. That we get to points in our lives where we can give back a little bit more, and I think the SSA mission statement speaks to that really nicely, and we've been fortunate to have alumni volunteers, dozens and dozens of them, those on the alumni board and other volunteers, reach out with that in that style, with that mission in mind. So now the slide with the pyramid on it, which is on your page 5, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. So last weekend we had an alumni board meeting. Wileen and the alumni board members organized and presented really great content about our involvement as an alumni board over this academic year. And one of our board members, I think it may have been Eric Brown, he made the comment of, you know, participation can look like a lot of things. We should really help alumni understand what can participation look like. And I said, that could be the title of a slide for next weekend, because I'm talking about outreach to try to, you know, help engage folks with the fine work of SSA. So here it is on the top of the slide. And with respect to SSA, we have lots of ways that alumni contribute value to the mission of the school. I mean, really, and they're all really important and meaningful ways. And the least time-consuming of which is just writing a check, which is very important because philanthropy fuels the mission, and without philanthropy, the school would be less strong than it is today, and would not have the kind of endowment it has today, would not be able to do the kind of things that it does today. But volunteerism in a variety of ways also requires giving of the individual, and requires a significant amount of time. So everything from field instructor on down to reunion volunteer, career and admissions mentor, these a PDP class attendee, or attending a symposium or an event, just submitting a class note or a reflection. These are all ways that alums help sustain the mission of SSA. I wanted to make sure that in Eric's comment I thought was really good, and so we're going to illustrate this and talk a little bit more about this in our literature moving forward. But it's quite an impressive list of engagement opportunities. Just to give you a sense, in field instructors, I think we have 200 some odd field instructors each academic year, and Tom, who represents the UC PIP program, I think there are maybe 300 or 280 nonprofit organizations that where we have our graduate students, interning with and having their internships evaluated as part of their degree requirements with SSA. So this is a very rich, wonderful network of nonprofit organizations and practitioners and alumni engagement that we should be looking at harnessing within SSA and across the university landscape.
Just as an example of the power of field instruction, Jacob was my field instructor, and he brought me into the board, and he has started me off on volunteering.
Let's jump to the Jacob story. That's a perfect, Tricia, that's a perfect launch pad, because I had Jacob sort of more in the middle of the discussion, but this is a perfect segue to, because it's an example. I mean, it's a really nice model of connecting and having a relationship and having it move into an involvement with the school in a more formal way. So Jacob Dancer, tell the Jacob story.
Well,
it's a great story.
So more about me now is the time. First of all, I want to do a little, that 6 degree of separation thing real quick here. So Nicole Rissick graduated with me in 2004 from SSA. And I, as Tricia already told you, I was her field instructor at UCAM, where I'm at currently as a program supervisor. I'm a member of the African Alumni Committee, AfricanAmerican. And Terry is the chair of that committee. And Wileen, who I didn't know until this year, now is working for us in the alumni relations, who actually graduated with a friend of mine in 2009. And so I know her not just because of SSA, but also because of my friends. So I'm sure if I talk to each one of you, I would find out how I know someone you know, and I know someone you know, and I already know someone you know. But my point is that UCAM received the Distinction Innovation Award in June, part of the STARS celebration we had for its diversity and inclusion initiatives. And one of the things about me is that I really believe that if you're going to do social work, that you don't just do social work and working with clients. It's really important to work with children and families. It's really important to be present for them, but it's also important to make sure that people who are working with the children and family is someone who believes in the same thing you believe in, who have the same values that you have, that support the same kind of initiatives and your mission and your vision. And my vision is to have more than just, as we can see, a female-dominated room right now. And I really believe that we have males and females who are, really engaged in the cause of helping children and families. And a lot of times, especially in my little 20 years of life and working in the field, there are a lot of boys and girls who are looking for, a guy to talk to about their issues, to a male clinician, and someone who believes in being connected to the cause. And there's not that many men out there who do this. So I really believe that one of my goals is not just to become a supervisor or director or anything like that. I really want to make sure that there's an influx of diversity into the school and into the agency I work for. And so when I was at the award celebration, I was looking around the room, and I saw Neil Guterman, who is actually now our dean, and I saw Scott Peterson, who won one of the awards, and I looked through the room as I was able actually just to find them. But that was it. I was like looking at a few selected individuals, and I spoke to the importance of diversity, not just being in my agency at UCAN, but being in the school. That the school makes a point to make connections, and through those connections, people come in. So I'm not just going to be a member of the alumni board just to be a member of the alumni board. My mission of being an alumni board is to bring people into the school, is to bring people into the fold of what we believe in at SSA. We kind of skipped over the mission statement because we're running out of time, but one of the things important about SSA is the dedication to humanity and through teaching and research, which I hate research, but research and service in the community. And service community means we actually being out there and doing it. We actually being out there and making some change. And my mission has always been, when I wake up in the morning, how am I going to impact someone today? How am I going to make a change in someone today? And I don't just think about a client. I'm thinking about someone else. My networking is with Tricia in getting her to be an alumni board. After she graduated, I already had a vision that I'm going to get her on the alumni board.
And he's very persuasive.
But that vision wasn't because I wanted someone who I know to be on the alumni board. That's because I know that she's a great person. And I know that she shares the same values and beliefs that I share. And that she actually has so much knowledge that during our supervision time, she actually taught me a lot of things. She didn't ever say that, but she did. And there's some value to that in interactions with Terry and Wileen and Steve and Nicole, people I know, I don't just have these relationships just because they're the people, because they are, but I have these relationships because I'm looking for opportunity to expand the school, expand the beliefs, expand what I stand for. So I guess there's some sense of narcissism in mine. But it's true. I'm looking for networking. I'm looking for opportunities to make SSA a more diverse school, and not just in the issue of ethnicity and race and gender, but in socioeconomic issues and as far as classism and racism and all the isms that are just, although we say, oh, we don't have that here at SSA. Yes, we do. We don't have that here at the University of Chicago. Yes, we do. But we have to put voice to it. We have to acknowledge and be self-reflective of our own issues, our own stuff, and say, yeah, I own that, and I got to find a way to change that. And so through networking and bringing people together, that kind of like eliminates it, because the more people I know, the more people I touch, I can hopefully change. If you do have some classes of issues or some classes of perspectives, or you do have that the view that being a man means that I don't want to do social work from a clinical direct practice perspective. I want to do policy because that means that we make more money for the family. Well, yeah, that's important, being a man and everything, provider, all that stuff. But it's also important that you touch the children, that you touch the families. And then eventually, we at SSA, this maybe is my perspective, that at SSA, when you graduate, you end up being a manager. You end up being a supervisor because you are from the School of Social Service Administration. It's going to happen. But it doesn't mean you start there. So
that's what they should tell you.
I'm one. Go ahead.
That's what they told us. Jacob told us all that. That's okay.
But I just think it's really important. It's really important to touch people in so many different ways. So being a field instructor, I proctor and mentor for a lot of students in the school. I make a point to meet them and tell them about what winter quarter's like. If you're a graduate of the school or of the college, you know what winter quarter's like. It's dark and it's cold and the grass is slushy. It's very slushy and it's muddy and the skies are gray and it's cold outside. There's long walks to your class. I see you over there. There's long walks. But if you don't know that and all of a sudden winter quarter comes upon you, you're blindsided. So someone who can tell you that, and I'm not just telling people that from a college perspective, I'm telling it from a graduate school perspective. And I don't tell them just to tell my story, I tell them because I want to help them. I want them to succeed. I want them to succeed so that when they graduate, they represent the school. Because when you graduate, you are a University of Chicago graduate. End of story. And with being a University of Chicago graduate, and the story means that you're carrying the name on your shoulders. And if you're doing poor work, you're still carrying the name on your shoulders. And I really don't want that. I really want you to be a successful person. And I want to touch people in a way that change happens.
So your alumni involvement, Jacob, has had many facets. It's been involvement on the alumni board. It's been involvement as a mentor to current graduate students. It's been involvement as an employer of our graduates. And
oh yeah, I forgot to mention that.
Yeah, which is like a real important way of giving back to the university, is if you're in a position to hire graduates of SSA or any other area of the university. That's really a powerful way of perpetuating relationships and the U of C network. So it's a very compelling story about the many facets of connection to the institution, to SSA and to the university. Very real, very authentic, very appreciative, and mutually fulfilling and satisfying.
And actually, I want to make one more point about this, as you brought that up, if I have a moment.
Yeah.
Jeff Levy is the adjunct professor through SSA. He teaches advanced group seminar and violence in children and families, advanced seminar in that as well. And he's actually the co-author of our clinical philosophy at UCAN that works with trauma systems, the human development, and attachment. And so one of the things that, as far as hiring people, if I know that you took those classes, or I know you're in the violence prevention program of SSA, which didn't exist when I was there, so that's such a cool program. I wish I could go back. But I look for that, and then I look for it when I'm interviewing you. Do you really have those integrated in you, or did you just take the class? So when I'm speaking with you, I'm a pretty good judge of character. I'm going to be able to tell whether you really are into that or you're just giving me lip service. And people who are hired and people who are working at UCAN actually carry that. They actually believe that youth who have suffered trauma can become our future leaders. They actually believe that making change in people is through healing trauma, through education, through empowerment. They actually carry that. And so UCAN, which now has 17 SSA alums, soon to be 19, because one just started last week, her first year, one's in her second year of an evening program. I love my school, and I love UCAN, and to have that bridge is just a crazy, loving experience for me.
Love it.
Thanks, Jacob. That's really a great story. That now that we have it on tape, we'll be able to share it with the larger alumni community. Surprise. But it will be instructive for other alums of the university and other SSA alums too. Sitting to my right is Nicole Hrissick, and Nicole helps us as the vice president of the alumni board and the chair of the alumni committee that encourages nominations for the top distinguished awards that SSA confers upon alums of distinction each year. And this is another important way to connect with our alumni group and with other practitioners in the field of social service, is to recognize those individuals and those organizations like UCAN that are doing and have done and continue to do extraordinary and exceptional work. Connecting with luminaries of the field who are U of C alums and who are teachers themselves in many ways, even if they're practitioners and managers and running big organizations. As a leader, they're a teacher, right? They're our mentor, they're a teacher, they're giving back to the field, they're informing the field. And so, Nicole, do you want to just quickly, I hate to put you on the spot, but just describe the outreach and the way in which we try to encourage outreach for the benefit of nominations for the Alumni Awards.
Sure. Well, there are 2 awards every year. One of them alternates year by year, depending on, like this year it's the Edith Abbott Award, which is sort of for lifetime achievement, distinguished service in the field of social work. And then on alternating years, we do the Elizabeth Butler Award, which was for promising young alumni, and then the Distinctive Innovation Award that Jacob mentioned. And so the school has an outreach plan that they assist the committee with, and they put an ad in the SSA magazine that comes out. They're going to purchase an ad in the UChicago magazine. We have plans to coordinate with the PDP staff for professional development to be able to get the word out there. There are letters that we're going to be sending. We'll be using the previous Abbott Award winner from 2 years ago to help make an appeal for nominations. The committee does a lot of grassroots outreach to folks. The board does as well, trying to connect with their networks. Because what's tricky about these awards is the board actually can't make nominations because we're also the ones selecting. So we need to build, the relationship is really important because we need to build a relationship to convince other people to make the nominations on our behalf.
So that's where a relationship network is real important, so that a member of the board or another volunteer can reach out and encourage a nomination from somebody else who is thinking about their relationship spheres, right? Who do they know in their workplace in that particular circle of the concentric circle ring. At lunch, we'll talk about gaining visibility for those awards and sort of the lunch roundtable. With us also is Terry Travis Davis, who reaches out to alums of color, African-American alumni, to encourage them to contribute to the Student Award Fund. And this year also we'll be reaching out to former students of Professor Dolores Norton to encourage them to contribute to an honorary scholarship endowment fund recognizing Professor Norton's impact in the field. Terry has been a real force in helping to drive outreach to alums. Terry, do you want to talk just quickly about that outreach?
My outreach has also been with the nomination committee as well, and that's been pretty delightful to be on the nomination committee as well as developing the AfricanAmerican Alumni Committee. The board felt that we needed to have such a committee in order to tap into that particular group of alums who are kind of not visible at the university or back at SSA. So what I've just simply done was some of the things that we just talked about earlier, developing, knowing my relationships with certain people that I've developed with over the years, and just ask. I never thought about asking during times of difficulty. I just asked, the people that I know. And
you have to
and I've worked in my field with the Department of Children and Family Services over some 30 years. And so I've known a lot of these people that I've asked over the span of time, and even before then. I was asked to actually become a member of the African American Alumni Committee through Director Irwin McEwen. And that was because he and I were classmates when we were here at SSA. And we worked on a project. Now, I'm just assuming that's why he suggested that I come.
Maybe because you were
part
a
of
good
it.
person.
Yeah, I'm about
Maybe
to say,
because you were just a great
and
person.
she believed, right? She believed.
I helped him get an A+.
Take one and pass it.
Project, I know I did. And so that was one of the forces, I think, reasons why he remembered, and he asked me to become a part of that, and a part of it from the very beginning of the African American Alumni Committee. And so with that...
and that ask was important to you because you knew Irwin from your class common experience, and he was also a significant leader.
He's the director of the Child Welfare Department of Children and Family Services, which is a national known child welfare agency, and that I just wanted to give you all a little heads up. We received $10 million from the federal government to continue to work with families, maintaining children and families within their homes for the next, I think, 5 years. I think the award is for. So Director McEwen has really continued the mission of the Department of Children and Family Services, and has been pretty successful in returning children to families, as well as the mission now is prevention, keeping children and families within their homes. And yeah, I was pretty excited that he would call me up or send me an email and said, you know, this person is going to be contacting you, would you consider?
Right.
So, you know, I said, well, why not? You know, I always wanted to get back involved with the university, and then at the same time, I knew 2 other members of the board who had approached me about becoming a member of the board. So they came at me at the same time, and I thought I wasn't as involved with so many other activities as I was, as I am now. And so I thought, okay, let me get involved. And I think one of the most important things is when people get involved, you want to know that they're committed. They're committed, they're dedicated, and they want to do it.
Right.
And I think that's what will drive, you know, the volunteerism more, that people want to do it. One other tip I want to say. In my church, I'm very much involved with my church activities too. And one time, one of the ministers came to me and he asked me if I would lead a class. And I said, I can't do it. I'm just too busy. He says, I know. Always ask a busy person. And I thought, oh my God, is that true? Always get a busy person. So when you tap into people who said that, oh, I'm too busy for that, you go back to them again, and you go back to them again. And then for some reason, they'll find a way to put you in. And that's what I did with one of the members who were spearheading the Dodie Norton Endowment.
Right.
Evelyn. I knew how excellent she was, but she kept saying how she was too busy. But finally, here we are.
Right.
We got her heading up the Awards and Philanthropy subcommittee of the African American Alumni Committee and doing the endowment.
So that'll be one of the outreach, and thank you, Terry. That'll be one of the outreach initiatives this year and maybe into next summer. And I just passed around an article from the SSA magazine that appeared about Dolores Norton to illustrate her impact. And so just quickly, a couple of the slides on page 5, I think that's at page 5 of your handout. Yeah, making the ask and confirming understanding on the part of the people to whom you're reaching out. These are suggested statements that you might want to use as you reach out. These have been particularly successful for me in terms of digging deeper and understanding what the motivation or passion is of the individual, and clarifying and confirming what their understanding and your understanding of what it is you're specifically asking them to do, and what the deliverable is, and what the time frame is. So I know we're sort of running out of time, but I wanted to make sure that I called your attention to these 2 slides because, as Terry has said and as Jacob has said, and in all of our experiences, making the ask is pretty important. You know, to really make the invitation to engage with us in the noble work of what we're doing. And then following up, right? I mean, once we get, we make the ask, we dialogue about it, we confirm our understanding, there has to be follow-up. We can't let it sit for a period of time without personalized follow-up and then sustaining the contact, right? Because again, it's a continuum. There's a couple of slides in the presentation that show this continuum that's a virtuous cycle. We're about building and developing relationships for the long term. This is not a smash and grab operation. This is long-term relationship, lifelong relationship building. There may be times when people are in and they're out, but we want them always to know that we invite them to be our partners in the work that we do. I think, any other final concluding thoughts from, yes?
Sorry, I just want to say that as you are reaching out in your networks and seeing the amazing alumni that you have and how involved they are, if there are people who are not right for your internal awards, please keep in mind that the university-wide agency does have alumni awards and the deadline is fast approaching. Mm-hmm. I believe it was October 15th. Mm-hmm.
That's correct.
It may have been extended to November 1st. There may be people who don't fit into your categories who deserve wider recognition.
Right.
Think of recommending them for the alumni awards. There are nomination forms and stairs on the table.
That's a great suggestion, and we have had SSA alums who have received these awards. I think the last alum was maybe Joe Lowndy, a year or two, who received a University Alum Award. Charles Curry, I think, one of our alums from Washington, D.C., also received the award in the past. And last year, I think Yvette Cardona received the Diversity Award from the university. So, there has been a nice tradition of SSA alums being recognized by both SSA and by the University of Chicago.
There's a public service award. You guys should own it.
Well, I mean, guess what? There are amazing alums of other divisions of the university who are doing amazing things with SSA alums. So, and that's a good point of thinking. This is a university that has got excellence in every corner, and I think as I was talking to Agnes, threading together and intersecting our work, as Tom has talked about with the UC PIP program, makes for really powerful platforms of plugins, right? Of engagement, of mixing with people who have wonderful expertise and are interesting, phenomenal people. And, I think often in a complicated, large institution, we think in controllable bits. And so we think sometimes in silos, and less often do we think, in terms of intersection and working at the intersection. But I think there is real power in being premeditative about working at the intersection. So thank you all. Now there's a group photo that's going to take place outside, and so everyone looks sensational, and we'll smile for the camera and show the larger university volunteers. Thank you all for joining us this glorious Saturday.